Everyone, let's be honest for a second. Have you ever had a day like this? You woke up thinking, today is the day. Today I'm finally going to call my parents, I'm going to reply to those emails, I'm finally going to start that one thing I've been overthinking for months.
But then you get caught in the search bar. You look for the best way to do it. You read one article, then another, and suddenly you look out the window and it's dark. It's already night.
You've been at your desk all day, but your hands haven't moved. You're just exhausted from the mental gymnastics of thinking about doing it.
And then comes the guilt. You realize it's been a week, maybe more, of saying today is the day, and yet you're still at zero. If that's you right now, just take a deep breath. You are not alone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English Shower. I'm your host, Liam.
And I'm Lisa. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Today, we're diving into that heavy feeling we call analysis paralysis. We're going to talk about why our brains do this to us and how we can gently, very gently, start moving again.
So let's look at the why. Why do we do this to ourselves? We have the best intentions in the morning, but by the afternoon, we're buried under 50 open browser tabs. Is it just a lack of willpower?
Actually, Liam, it's often the opposite. It's because we care too much. We want to do a good job. But our brains have this funny, or maybe frustrating, way of protecting us from the fear of making a mistake. When we search for information, our brain releases a little bit of dopamine. It feels like we're making progress.
That's so true. I call it the productivity illusion. When you find a great article or a helpful video, you feel like you've already started the work. Your brain says, look at me, I'm learning, I'm preparing. But in reality, you haven't produced anything. You're just consuming.
Exactly. It's a safe place. As long as you are researching, you can't fail. You haven't made a choice yet, so you haven't made a wrong choice. But this comes with a cost. We call it decision fatigue. Think of your brain like a smartphone battery. Every time you compare two different options or read a conflicting opinion, you're using up a few percentage points of your energy.
By the time you finally tell yourself, okay, now it's time to actually write that email, or now it's time to clean the room, your battery is at 5%. You're mentally drained. You've spent all your doing energy on deciding.
And it's even harder today because we have infinite information. 20 years ago, if you wanted to learn how to fix a leaky faucet, you might have one book or one neighbor to ask. Now, you have 10,000 YouTube videos. Some say do it this way. Others say no, that's dangerous, do it that way.
It's overwhelming. We think more information will give us more clarity, but usually it just gives us more anxiety. We get stuck in a loop of just one more search. We are looking for a feeling of 100% certainty that simply doesn't exist.
So if you feel exhausted, even though you haven't done anything yet, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain has been working overtime in the search trap. You've been trying to solve a puzzle that has infinite pieces.
And that's a heavy burden to carry. But understanding this is the first step. It's not a character flaw. It's just how our modern brains react to too much choice.
So we know the science now, the search trap and the dopamine of finding new information. But what does this actually look like in our daily lives? Because it's not always about a big work project. Sometimes it's the smallest things that paralyze us.
You're so right, Liam. Think about the career trap. Maybe you want to learn a new skill, let's say coding or a new language. You go online and search how to start learning Python. Suddenly, you have 50 different roadmaps. One person says start with this book, another says no, take this expensive course, and a third says just watch these 100 YouTube videos.
And what do? We spend 3 weeks comparing the courses, but we never actually write our first line of code. We're so afraid of picking the wrong course that we end up picking nothing. We stay at zero, while we watch others, who maybe picked a lesser course but actually started, get ahead.
It's that fear of wasted effort, isn't it? We think, if I don't find the perfect way, I'm wasting my time. But the truth is, the only way we truly waste time is by staying stuck at the starting line.
Exactly. And it's not just big career moves. It's the daily decision trap, too. Have you ever spent an hour scrolling through Netflix, reading the descriptions of 20 different movies, and then you're too tired to watch anything, so you just go to bed feeling frustrated?
Every single Friday night, Liam. It's funny, but it's also exhausting. And social media makes it worse. We see someone on Instagram who seems to have it all figured out. We see their perfect morning routine, their perfect workout, their perfect career path.
And then we look at our own lives. We feel like we have to do everything perfectly to catch up. We feel like we need to research more, optimize more, and plan more. We get paralyzed because we're comparing our messy behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel.
It's like we're standing in front of a giant wall of mirrors. Everywhere we look, we see a different version of what we should be doing. And when there are 1,000 shoulds, we end up doing nothing at all.
We're just standing there, frozen. But here's the thing. That wall of mirrors isn't real. The only path that matters is the one right under your feet, the messy, imperfect one.
So whether it's a big career change or just choosing what to eat for dinner, if you're feeling paralyzed, it's often because you're looking at too many mirrors. You're trying to live 1,000 lives instead of just your own.
We've talked about the search trap and the different ways we get paralyzed, but there's a quiet, invisible cost to staying stuck. Sometimes we think that if we don't make a choice, we're keeping our options open. We think we're being careful.
But not choosing is actually a choice in itself, isn't it? It's a choice to stay exactly where you are. And that place, it's not a comfortable place to be. It's like carrying a heavy backpack all day that you never put down.
That's a great way to put it. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. It's a fancy name for a simple feeling. Our brains remember unfinished tasks much more than finished ones. When you say, "I'll decide tomorrow," or "I need to research more," that task doesn't just disappear. It stays in the back of your mind, humming like a noisy refrigerator.
It's that constant mental noise. Even when you're trying to relax or watch a movie or talk to a friend, there's that little voice saying, "You still haven't made that call. You still haven't started that project." It drains your battery even when you're resting.
And that's the irony. We don't act because we're afraid of wasting time or energy, but by not acting, we waste so much more. We waste the emotional energy of feeling guilty. We waste the mental space that could be used for something creative or joyful.
And then there's the opportunity cost. Every hour we spend searching for the perfect path is an hour we aren't spending on the actual path. If you spend 3 months researching the best way to write a book, you've lost 3 months of actually becoming a better writer. You can't edit a blank page, Liam.
That's a powerful thought. You can't edit a blank page. We often wait for a feeling of 100% confidence before we move, but confidence doesn't come before the action, it comes after the action. We're waiting for a green light that only turns green once we start driving.
It's so true. And the longer we wait, the bigger the task feels. It grows in our minds. It becomes this giant mountain. But if we had just taken one messy, imperfect step on day 1, we'd be halfway up the hill by now.
So if you're listening and you feel heavy, it might not be because you're working too hard. It might be because you're carrying too many unstarted things. That weight of inaction is much heavier than the weight of a mistake.
A mistake can be fixed. A mistake is data. It's feedback. But staying still, that's just stagnation. It's a slow leak in your soul's energy.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the why and the cost of being stuck, but I want to shift gears now. How do we actually move? If someone is listening right now, sitting at their desk with 20 tabs open, what is the first thing they should do?
The very first thing? Close the tabs. I'm serious. But more gently, the first strategy is what I call the 70% rule. We often wait for 100% certainty, but that never comes. So tell yourself, if I feel 70% sure, that's my green light. 70% is enough to start. You can figure out the other 30% while you're moving.
I love that. It takes the pressure off being perfect. My favorite strategy is the 5-minute rule. When a task feels like a giant mountain, don't try to climb the whole thing. Just tell yourself, I will work on this for only 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I can stop if I want to.
That's so powerful because the hardest part is always the transition from 0 to 1. Usually, once you start, you realize the task isn't as scary as you thought. It's like jumping into a cold pool. The shock only lasts a second, and then you're swimming.
Exactly. And there's a third tool, time boxing for research. If you really feel like you must search for information, Give yourself a strict timer. Say, I have 15 minutes to look for the best tool, and at 15:01 I must pick one and start using it. No exceptions.
That's a great way to put a fence around the search trap. And remember, everyone, the goal isn't to make the perfect choice. The goal is to make a choice, any choice. Because once you choose, you have data, you have experience. You're no longer standing still.
I often think about a car at night. Your headlights only show you about 50 meters in front of you. You can't see the whole highway to your destination, but you can drive the whole way across the country just by seeing those next 50 meters. You don't need to see the end to start the engine.
What a beautiful image, Liam. You don't need the whole map. You just need to see the next few steps. So if you're overwhelmed by a big project, ask yourself, what is the smallest, easiest, most imperfect thing I can do in the next 5 minutes?
Maybe it's just opening a blank document and writing a title. Maybe it's just finding the phone number of your parents. Don't worry about the conversation yet. Just find the number.
Small wins. They break the paralysis. They remind your brain that you are a doer, not just a searcher. You're taking back your power, one tiny step at a time.
We've come to the end of our journey today. We've talked about the search trap, the decision fatigue, and the heavy weight of not choosing. But before we go, let's wrap this up. If there's one thing to remember from today, what would it be, Lisa?
I think it's this. Action is the antidote to anxiety. We think that by searching more, we'll feel less anxious, but usually it's the other way around. The more we search, the more we worry. The only thing that truly makes the heavy feeling go away is taking one tiny, messy step.
That's so true. Confidence isn't a prerequisite for action. It's a result of action. You don't need to feel ready to start. You just need to start to feel ready.
Exactly. And so we want to leave you with a challenge for this week. We're calling it the 5-minute choice.
Here is your homework. Think of one thing, just one, that you've been researching or thinking about for too long. Maybe it's that email, that phone call, or that first page of a report.
Your mission is this. As soon as this episode ends, close your browser. Don't look for one more tip. Don't check social media. Just set a timer for 5 minutes and do the simplest version of that task.
If it's an email, just write the subject line and the first sentence. If it's cleaning, just pick up 5 things from the floor. That's it. 5 minutes. No pressure to be perfect, no pressure to finish. Just move.
Because once you move, you've broken the spell of analysis paralysis. You've proved to yourself that you are in control. You've moved from being a consumer of information to a creator of action.
And that's a beautiful place to be. We believe in you. You don't need the whole map. You just need to see the next few meters in your headlights.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us at English Shower. We hope your coffee is still a little bit warm, but even if it's cold, it's okay. It's time to get up and take that first step.
I'm Liam.
And I'm Lisa.
Until next time, happy doing.